question. There's a lot of answers to that one. So there are arrangers, like that's a profession, right? So people who are professionals who can make things sound amazingly wonderful with so many different instruments. And I think we all I think the textbook for that stuff is like the classical composers. When you look at all the instruments in the orchestra, that's a lot to deal with, and so I think that's the first stop along the way to learning about that, is to look to your classic composers. I think the one that is arguably the most influential as far as 20th century, not like modern classical, but 20th century composers, is Mahler. I would say Gustav Mahler is the guy to study how he orchestrates things, because everybody copied him. Once all the film music that we hear, it's like almost directly from Mahler, because it sounded so hip and so cool. The instrument pairings that he did and the voicings that he used and how he pair off different melodies going in different directions. I think that's kind of where, as far as like all things in the 20th century came from. I think that's a good place to start if you didn't want to go all the way back to the beginning of time. As far as like pop rock orchestration and stuff like that, I think it's good to take a step back and like look at guys like Quincy Jones, because like even before he was doing, before all the Michael Jackson fame and all that stuff, he was doing big band stuff. He had his own big band, and again, yeah, exactly. And so there was a lot of instruments to deal with there. So I think the more that you study those guys and what their moves were, when you start to see like, oh, he did this and this like this because this gave this effect or whatever, then it starts to enlighten you as to decisions to make there. Looking at scores and transcriptions is also a good way to educate yourself. So,
well, when you go like a studio, let's say, and you're gonna do some work, do you got a chord chart? And I was just trying to think, like, let's say you're gonna play this. Somebody has to figure out, like, okay, I'm just gonna play like Autumn Leaves. I'm gonna play this part here, and the bass player's gonna play this part. The keyboard's gonna play this part. And
You mean like someone in the studio?
yeah, it's like somebody, like, how do you put all that together, or do you just go in there and just follow the chord charts they give you?
Yeah, it depends, right? Sometimes there's very rarely are there actual parts written out. Most of the sessions that I've done with the artists, they're like, this is my song, I'm going to show you my song, and you're going to create a part for it, and once in a while they'll say, well, I have a part that I created, and here it is. They don't write it out, they show it to you,
Or they'll sing it to you.
Or they'll sing it to you, or whatever. And so, so a producer oftentimes can step in and say, play me a higher voicing there, because we're going to have this accordion happen in here, or whatever. So sometimes the producer kind of does arrangements. Sometimes the artist themselves already has the arrangement in mind. Sometimes it's a collaborative effort. Sometimes everybody's like, oh, you do this and I'll do this, and then we can do this, and that happens there. So it's kind of all over the board if it's not already prearranged. For me personally, I arrange everything of my own stuff. So if I write a song, I put all the production stuff on there.